Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I am Dave B. I sell Chevys. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to test drive Silverado HD 2500 Custom that we just got in recently. Now I recently did a video just kind of talking about the outside, the exterior, and the options in this particular truck. I'll link that in the end of this video. But for right now, let's go for a drive and see what we think. This is the Custom model. It's a crew cab, so there's an incredible amount of space. I am 6'5", like you may already know. I am sitting in the front seat where I'm more than comfortable. There is a tremendous amount of space behind the seat. So if you have five people in this vehicle, you know, going to a job site, whatever, no worries, you'll have plenty of room. One thing I really like about this custom truck is this has a custom value package. It's about like 7 or 8 different items you get, one of them being remote start. So this still does have a turnkey ignition, but with the remote start, you remote start it from inside the house, the office, the job site, wherever. It's going to automatically heat or cool the truck depending on the temperature outside. So I remote started this about 10 minutes ago. This way when I get in, it's already cooled off because the AC has been on pretty much full blast. And you don't have to do it yourself. It's going to override however the climate control was set from the last time you drove the vehicle. And it will cool it or heat it, like I said, depending on the temperature outside. Now, I imagine you go to a dealership, you test drive a vehicle, the first thing you're gonna do is kind of position your seat in the steering wheel. I'll tell you, this has forward and back movement. It also has recline. However, there is no height adjustment. Now, I think this is a perfect height for me. It's a nice view of the road. You know, I wouldn't have to really adjust it, but I would imagine having a height adjustment on the seat, it would help people out. So that's one thing I think that this truck should have. One thing you'll know about me is I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what my thoughts are, my feelings on vehicles as we look through them and we go through them. But pretty basic setup. You have your lock and unlock, all your window controls. One thing that's nice about this vehicle, you do have power folding mirrors. So you press one button, you can tuck those 2 mirrors in. This way, if you're going into a garage or parking, something like that, you can tuck them in. Now this also is a custom value package, so these mirrors are heated, they're manual extending, they're power, and they have turn signals integrated. As we move over towards the panel here, you have all your 4-wheel drive controls, your 2 high, your 4 high, and your 4 low. You also have trailering mode, which used to be on the end of the shifter here. Now it's just a knob with a simple quarter turn to the left, and it can put you into that trailer mode. You have your bed light in the back, your brightness for your dash lights, so when you go up and down, you're going to dim out your lights and everything at night. And of course, this does have automatic headlights where you just leave it in auto, and the little sensor up in the front does everything for you. It's actually that sensor right there. Next, turn signals, wipers, window wash, high beams, pretty standard. You got cruise control on the left side. And I spoke about this in the 1500 series video I did. There are no what we would call driver information center controls here on the steering wheel. It's a post that sticks out here. So as you turn this, it's going to give you all different pages of information. And this is something I feel they shouldn't have done either, because let's say you're driving down the road, you want to check your tire pressures or something like that. You know, the easiest way to do it, you're literally sticking your hand through the steering wheel while you're driving to change this. So if you wanted to see your oil life or your tire pressures or your fuel range, you know, I think they should have just put the extra money into the vehicle and put those buttons here on the steering wheel. In my opinion, it's a lot safer than going through the wheel to get to that post. But, you know, listen, it does the job. And if you're using it, just be careful. You also have a press here. If you hold it, it'll clear out whatever page you're in, if it's a page that can be cleared. And your digital speedometer is a page that most people would probably keep an eye on. As we come over to the center stack, we're going to start from the bottom. You have a trailer brake controller. Now, this is a great feature to have in a vehicle, especially if you're trailering and you have electric brakes. And what's great about it is these vehicles have StabiliTrak, which is going to monitor, you know, how the vehicle's moving on different axes compared to how you drive and intervene where necessary. So it can apply brake pressure using the ABS sensors to one wheel at a time or whatever needed to help straighten you out. Well, it will also pass that information back to the trailer brakes as well, so it can help stop trailer sway. Definitely a good feature to have built in. And then you have your USB, your 12-volt power, and there is optional 120-volt outlets. You'd have one there in the dashboard, and you'd have one in the bed. We didn't add it to this particular model for the cost. I don't know why. It's probably something that we just overlooked, but definitely good options to add to the vehicle for a few $100. Moving up from there, you got your power tailgate release, your hazards, and again, we just talked about StabiliTrak. This basically turns that system off. It's actually on every time you start the vehicle, so you can't accidentally drive with it off. You'd have to physically put it off if you didn't want to have it on for whatever reason. I recommend leaving it on. A little higher, you got your climate control, very easy to use, fan speed up and down, temperature hot to cold, direction of where you want your air. Now what I like is you can actually have all three of these on at once. So this is the windshield, the dashboard vents, and the floor vents. So you can have them on with any combination depending on what your preference is. Front defrost, rear defrost, AC, and recirculate. The next thing up is the radio. Very, very easy to use. It's a touchscreen radio. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android capability, Android Auto capability. So you plug in your smartphone and it's going to project your smartphone and apps that are allowed onto the screen. It's great for using Google Maps, Waze, Pandora, Spotify, you know, stuff like that. And you have dedicated apps or buttons right here on the screen. It's all touch. You press audio, you're in the audio screen. You have your FM, AM, and satellite. You can tune stations real easy. You just type the number in. If you know you want channel 17, Pop Rocks, you type it in. You want to go back to the highway, 56, you type it in. Back up and you're there. You can do all your presets along the top. And you have your home button both here and here. That gets you back to your main app screen. Bluetooth, you can add phones for Bluetooth pairing, and that's going to be for both audio and your phone calls, obviously. It's also going to pull your contacts and everything into the vehicle if you want to. This way you can have caller ID and voice dialing and all that sort of stuff. You have a Wi-Fi hotspot. These vehicles through OnStar and powered by AT&T can have a 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot, which is fantastic, especially if you're on a job site or something like that and you want to use a laptop or whatever it may be. It's $25 a month, I think, currently right now for unlimited data. If you're with AT&T, you save $5 a month, it'd be 20. You know, great system, no contract. You can turn it on or off. You basically pay month to month. If we swipe over here, we're going to bring up the camera. Now this has the basic rear camera with hitch guidance. So you have guidelines that are going to move with the steering wheel to show you where you're headed. And then you have a hitch button here, which is going to give you one dedicated line. You can see the hitch right there at the bottom. If you had a hitch ball in there, you can back up to the trailer effortlessly to get lined up. Last thing I want to talk about is trailer lights here. Basically that button, when you have a trailer hooked in, you can press it and it's going to run through a light test. So it's going to show you, it's basically you press it, you walk in the back by your trailer, and then you just watch the lights cycle through. Turn signals, brake lights, regular running lights, reverse lights, whatever it may be. This way you can see everything working and make sure it's functional and safe before you head out. But with all that being said, we're going to take a spin. Actually, last thing, so we got two glove boxes, which is great, right? Upper and lower. And then this is a flaw in my opinion, but listen, it is what it is. No storage in the center console. So you got a great spot for your phone. You got some cup holders and change spots and whatever you may need. You can lift this up for another seat. However, there's no storage in it. If you go up a model, you get storage in both this portion of the seat here and also in here. That's something that I think General Motors should have done, but you know, my opinion. Back here, there is a storage package you can get, which would give you lockers that are in the backs of the seats that kind of open up, and then you get the under seat storage. So when you lift this up, you would have the tray underneath. But you know, great looking truck, nice interior, great amenities. Short of the three things that particularly I don't like, the height adjustment on the seat not being there, the little adjustment for the driver information center being through the steering wheel, and this storage, I think you got a very nice interior, very comfortable interior, comfortable seat indeed. But let me cool the place off because I'm probably sweating bullets right now. I'm going to throw the AC on, cool off a little bit, back this out of here, and we're going to go for a ride. Man, it's a hot one out here today. I tell you what, 98 degrees here in northern New Jersey. It's currently August 17th, depending on when you actually watch this video. But I am all set up. I'm comfortable. I got my mirrors adjusted, so everything's looking good. Got my seat to where I'm comfortable. This is the 6.6 liter gas engine, 401 horsepower, 464 foot-pounds of torque. And this is the first time I'm really taking it out to get a feel for it. So I'm excited to see what it's all about. I always start my test drives, if you've seen my videos in the past, down this bumpy road here because it gives you a good suspension test. Now, 2500 series heavy duty, you're basically usually riding pretty bouncy. And that's what I want to feel out here. Now, I can tell you I'm hitting these bumps. It's a bit of a stiff ride, which is what it's supposed to be to carry the payload that it can. However, it's not overbearing to drive, and it's a pretty bumpy road. It's not throwing it out of balance. The wheel's very easy to very lightly control and have good control over the truck. One of the things about this truck is it uses leaf springs in the back, which is a great durable form of suspension. And they have a second stage. So what that does, it gives you a little bit of a smoother ride while you're driving when the bed is empty in the back. But when you start putting in the payload, it's going to meet up with that second stage of the leaf spring and support that weight. If you go to a 3500 series truck, there's actually 2 secondary sets of leaf springs, one underneath and one above, you know, to carry the payload. This truck, when equipped a certain way, I believe it's a 2-wheel drive regular cab dually, it's something like over 6,000 pounds, you know, over 3 tons can be put into the bed of this truck. That same truck as a regular cab 2-wheel drive dually can tow, our max tow rating right now is 35,500 pounds. That's not as much as what this particular truck can do, but if you need something that can do that kind of weight, Chevy offers it. The visibility in this truck is fantastic. I think one thing I'm noticing is that there's a lot of open area here where you can see. Usually the mirrors are mounted up top here, which would make this A-pillar region a lot harder to see around. With the mirrors outside the vehicle like that, it gives you a lot more visibility. It kind of opens it up. It also seems like the door panels are a lot lower than they have been in previous trucks. This is a 6-speed automatic transmission linked up to this engine in this particular model. It's very smooth, it's very quiet. We'll see how it is as we keep driving around here. What do you guys look for when you test drive a car? You know, when you go out and you're looking for something and you go on a test drive, what are the things that you look for? You know, do me a favor, drop a comment about that down below, because what that'll do is it'll help me point out those features or those items when I'm doing this sort of video. Subscribe too if you get any kind of value out of this video, only because selfishly that will help me. A little background on me, I've worked in this automotive industry for, what is it, 15 years basically, most of it here at this location, and started YouTube about a year ago, a little over a year ago. On this part of the test drive, it's basically a little bit of highway, speed limit 55 or so. This truck handles very well. I will say for a big truck, it does handle very nicely. A little bit of a slight delay in steering. It's pretty precise, but it's not as precise as things I've driven in the past, you know, like even like an Equinox or a Traverse, something like that. It seems like there's a very slight little bit of movement in the wheel, and it's probably just the wheels are moving. It's just translating to such a big truck that it feels like it's taking a split second or so. Brakes feel nice, you know, as nice as brakes feel. They're brand new, they should work. They definitely do. I just stopped. This has a nice ride. One of the things too is they went fully boxed on the frame underneath this truck. So fully boxed frame rather than the C-channel is a lot stronger. The more stronger, the more stiff, the more rigid you can get the chassis of the truck overall, the more you can soften up the suspension and kind of, you know, have more of a comfortable ride. I think they got a good balance here. It's definitely not as bouncy as 2500s I've driven in the past. Again, generally when you're driving one of these heavy duty trucks and there's nothing in the truck, when it's empty, it tends to kind of really bounce and hop. This is very comfortable to drive. I really don't feel that all that much. This truck currently has 48 miles on it. We just got it recently. And I actually have our service managers buying a diesel 2500 LTZ, which should be here any day. So I'm hoping when it gets here, I can put a video together on that while I have it here. But for now, let's hit the accelerator here and see what it feels like. This is about half throttle, up to about 4,000 RPMs. We're at 57 miles an hour. Nice, good acceleration. I will say on these turns, it stays very level. It holds the road very well, and it stays very level. It doesn't have a lot of body roll. Now I'm only doing about 40 miles an hour, but I'm kind of going in these turns a little quick to feel it out, and handles great. I kind of look at a vehicle, and if I can basically very effortlessly drive a vehicle, meaning I got, you know, a thumb and 2 fingers like this on the wheel, and it's easy to control, that to me is a vehicle that rides well. You know, I don't want to have to be white knuckling the steering wheel, you know, holding the road, you know, when you're hitting bumps and things like that, which I tell you what, I've had vehicles in the past that did that. I had Jeep Wrangler, and I tell you what, you hit train tracks in that thing the wrong way and the wheel kind of goes on its own, and you got to kind of fight to keep it straight in a sense. And I don't have that issue with this on any of the roads we just drove on. I don't know about you guys, but I'm giving it a thumbs up. I think it's a great vehicle. I like the look of it in person. I know it's a pretty controversial look in the very beginning when it first started being introduced, but I think it looks great. It looks real big. It's a lot bigger. It's literally bigger in every direction. It's taller, it's longer, it's wider, you know, than previous generation. So for the first time in a long time, maybe even ever, we have a truck that when you put it next to a Dodge or a Ford heavy duty, we're sitting right there with it. We don't look smaller like we used to look. So good job, General Motors. I'm impressed. I like it. I hope you guys like it. If you did like it, put a thumbs up down below and like the video, because that'll just get it out to more people on YouTube to see it and hopefully help them out. But thanks for watching. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. I'll answer all of them. And again, subscribe to the channel because, you know, listen, it'll help me out. Have a good day.